In this interview, I'm going to be talking with Vicki Whitelaw. Vicki has over 20 years' experience as an exercise physiologist, soft tissue therapist, Pilates instructor. She's worked with elite sports people, including the Australian rowing and swimming and basketball teams, and provided soft tissue services to the Australian rowing team at the 2004 Athens Games. Vicki also holds a level 2 cycle coaching qualification and has also ridden as an athlete at a national level and competed for Australia in the Commonwealth Games and also Road World Championships, and runs an amazing business called Winning Position. What I love about her story is that Vicki has been a practitioner for over 20 years. She'd worked for other people and she'd never really run her business herself because when she stepped into her own business, well, COVID came along and kind of put a spanner in the works. I think Vicki's story is really unique because she talks about what it's like to struggle with self-confidence, and she talks about what it's really like for her as a practitioner, what running a business was like for her and how tricky she found it. And she's quite honest and open with her story and her journey, and I'm just super grateful for the creativity and the transparency that she is about to share with you in this interview. So if you've been hanging around us for a while and you're sort of thinking, I'm not sure, I'm kind of already pretty experienced in my craft and I'm not sure if this is what I need, I'm really excited to share with you Vicki's story of how the Fully Booked Bootcamp program completely transformed not only her business, but her life as well. Hello, Vicki, and welcome.
Hi, Alicia. It's great to be here.
Vicki, I'm so excited for our listeners to be able to hear your story because it is unique and quite different to what others may do in their massage practice. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what's your business name, where's your location, and who do you kind of help in your clinic?
Sure. So my name's Vicki. I'm the owner of a business called Winning Position. It's a bike fitting and remedial massage business based in North Canberra. I've owned it for 4 years. And it started, well, we actually built a house so that I could house this studio for all the reasons I'll go into later. But yes, it's still fairly new in my eyes because I plan to do this, 30, 40 years. That's my plan anyway.
Love that. I love that. So let's start right at the beginning. Where were you before you started stepping into the Fully Booked Bootcamp program in terms of how many clients were you seeing each week and kind of where was your business sort of sitting?
It wasn't in a great place. I've been a massage therapist and an exercise physiologist for 23 years. And I've always worked in other clinics because it's comfortable. It's what I know how to. And it also allowed me to work in teams of people. I love working with others. I learn constantly and I love a team environment. For the years 2007 to about 11, I was a professional cyclist. So I was also prior to that working on athletes as a massage therapist. So I traveled the world. I've seen a lot of the globe and I've loved it. And so I've had amazing experiences, which has meant that in the 23 years since I graduated from uni and massage school, I really have been a person of a lot of variety. I'm also a Pilates teacher. I have a resume really, really long. And that's really cool because I love learning different areas. The problem is I don't get stuck in any one area too much. And so as a professional cyclist, I didn't have time to work very much. I'd be home for 3 or 4 months and I'd work in a clinic and I could swap back into a very busy clinic and do that. The reason I'm giving this backstory is because where it led me to is that I wanted to have children and I couldn't work. Well, I chose not to work. So for 6 or 7 years, I went, right, I'm just going to be a mum at home. And that was great. And that was a delightful phase. But then I'm still in the same place because then that big thing called that starts with C happened. And when I planned to really develop my business, which I've told you it's been 4 years, it really didn't take off because I was at home schooling and I was in quite a funk. So when you asked me where was I was in quite a very flat stage going, I have all of these skill sets. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to spread the word. I really feel I can help people. And that sounds very stereotypical for massage therapists or people in health spaces. But I was keen to share this, but I didn't know how to. And I was also felt very limited. And I thought, I went back into default mode, like I did start working for a chiropractor last year, and that is 3 days a week, but it fits in around my school hours that I have children. And I'm still working for somebody else at that point. Yes, I'm a walking ABN number, but I'm still essentially working for someone else just to keep things topped up. But when you work in other clinics, you sort of live by their rules and their ways of doing things. And if you have a different concept or you feel it could be done differently, essentially you have to say to yourself, well, I did, that it really makes sense to do it my way. So I'm going to enhance the business that I have started 4 years ago that hasn't worked for reasons, and I'm going to put my energy there. And so I can say where I was in terms of clients. I had about one person to my house as a massage therapist a week at the clinic. And I had a bike fit, which is about 3 clients in massage terms because it takes about 3.5 hours. I had one of those every fortnight or something, right? And again, reasons being the big COVID thing that we all were hit by, but also because I had no concept of putting myself out there, and it's in my house. But in the clinic where I was working with the chiropractor, I was available for 15 hours, but saw maybe 8 clients. And it amounted to an average of maybe $700 a week. So I'm saying in monetary terms because it really does oscillate. But that's been my life since I graduated like 20 years ago. My wage is, or income is like that. And yeah. I think I'm very resigned, or I was very resigned to, well, that's just how it's going to be. Because you own small business, you work in this field, you can't really expect any more. Really, that's the messaging, or that's the narrative I told myself. Yeah.
Love this. And look, I think there's thank you so much for sharing your story, because I think there's lots of practitioners that might be in a similar position where they've been in this industry for a really long time and are very much a master of their craft. And yet when they step into running their own business, it's like, how am I a newbie at this? Like, this isn't how it should be. I've got all these skills. I've got a degree. I've got, like I said, a resume a mile long. And I have absolutely no idea how to put myself out there, which is why I needed to I needed to learn how to do business. And as a lifelong learner, learning is your passion. So it does help. And also to just be, to be able to go, okay, I was only seeing this many clients per week, and the bike fitting, that's a really unique skill and an awesome thing to be able to pair with the people that you see. So what would you say, like, what was your challenge, or how would you say your challenge was in your business that made you decide you wanted coaching to help solve it?
I think you get to the point of enough is enough, right? You're literally saying you've passed the I'm not confident anymore, because there would be lapses in that for sure. It was like, I have something to give the world and you're not doing it to your full potential. So that was the first real kicker, like enough's enough, right? The other thing was, and again, I'm not really money driven, but certainly it helps. And when I could see the possibilities that open, so the first one was my husband and I chose that we'd get some external tutoring for our children. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. That I can see how they could develop and that would be helpful. Problem was that was going to be a big chunk monthly. And I went, well, how are we going to do that as a family? I've been this lowly paid massage therapist for a very long time, for 23 years, done some great things, but not much to show in the bank balance. Again, not money driven, but here's something I'd like to be able to do. Can't do it. Have to pull my socks up and find business. Then there was we'd like to do some holidays. We don't holiday much as a family. My kids are 8 and 10, and we're not talking grand overseas trips for us. We're just talking breaks and spending time as a family. And when, you know, my one of my values is to hang out with my kids, and what's the point of earning more if I can't spend time with the people who I love? And that was a very strong pull. And I thought, well, how am I going to get that? I'm not about to win the lottery. I've got to knuckle down on this business. The other one, it was almost a perfect storm when my husband turned around and said, well, he was listening to my woes and my complaints, and he said, well, you could just make this thing a hobby. To which I was hit quite hard, like, a hobby? Are you serious? We sought land, we built a house, we put in all this energy, we worked out whether we could do this to make this a hobby. It was really quite offensive, and it struck me. I went, whoa. And that was the challenge. And I'd looked at marketing schemes before, like there's so many people who offer marketing, and I'd been quite floored by I understand that they run businesses, and that it was going to be quite costly for me. And I thought, oh geez, I don't even have that to start, so I don't have that money to lay down. Is it going to be worth it? And so I'd explored that. And then I went back into default mode, which is let's go and join up a job seeking agency and put my resume into a whole bunch of other places. And it started to, again, I don't know why that, you know, things were telling me, but I get this, wow, you've got these great credentials. We want you. Oh, what sort of work do you want? Oh, well, I want part-time hours because I didn't exist on this life just to work my whole life. I want to spend it with my family. I want this, I want that, I want this. And it really started speaking to, no, Vicki, you want to run your own business your way in the house that you built for the studio that should be working and is not. So, you know, you're tearing your hair out and you're going, okay. And then I came across Massage Champions, and I'd seen it around the place, and I had the clarity call from James, which was quite hilarious because I remember it quite clearly. And by the end of it, to cut it short, I was convincing him that he should do his course. And it was like, yes, acknowledging you've done your website, you've done a bunch of Facebook ads, you're gaining some traction, but it sounds like you really need to do this course. But again, and I'd listened to testimonials, and I was still thinking, yeah, but it's worked for other people. Surely it can't work for me. I live in suburban Canberra. I'm a really great technician, no problems with confidence, but really, like, can this really work? And I was very, very uncertain. So I'm a big researcher. So I researched somebody else who had done the course, who lives quite close to me. And again, no one talking me into it because it had to be my decision. But again, I was balking at the costs, right? And again, a few things hit me there, which was one of the questions that hopefully I can say this because James, you know, will overtly say this. He said, well, what sort of, you know, growth do you want to make? And I said, oh, look, I want to double my income. Like, I want to go from this to this, you know, in about a year or a year and a half. And he said, well, what sort of investment do you think you'd put into that, like to get that amount? And again, I'm thinking, yeah, he's being his crafty marketing, you know, da. And I'm a very skeptical person. And then I sort of thought, it hit me. It's like, you want this to grow this much, right? What is it worth to you? And once I took that step, and the other convincing thing, I'm talking specifically to your course, was the offer to delay the costs. So for someone like me who was working, you know, the cost that was being asked per week was 1 day a week at the chiropractor. And again, I've gone through the mindset stuff, and I'll talk about that, but it was literally a bit of a relief for me to say, no, you really do want this. And it's been reaffirmed to you several times in the last 3 weeks. Now you lay down that deposit, and now you're in, and you don't turn backwards. And so, yeah, I've kind of added on to your question there, which was what were the challenges? Numerous, like frustrations with, like, why am I here after 7 years at uni? Why have I so credentialed? Why is this continually on and I'm not living above the line right now? Like, that's silly. Yeah.
Thank you for your amazing story and your ability to be able to share your story with us in the decision that made you stepped in, because lots of people are in a similar position, Vicki. It's like, I need the growth, but that's a lot of money. How do I do that? And if you're expecting to work with therapists who want to grow their business. Often the business is not a place that they want, which means financially they're not in a place they want. And so we do make it available to just, 1 or 2 massages a week, which is like, okay, that's doable. No one's coming to break my kneecaps. Like that's actually something that I can bite-size tangibly do.
Yeah.
And it feels congruent and in alignment because I know that I've got the skills to be able to pay for that and that it'll give me what I need, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the real difference between, and again, I'm talking very frankly about the differences because obviously this is a talk to your business and it's testament to what you and James have created. But that was the turning point, right? Because I was oscillating like, and then it was, but you can delay these costs. It's going to be, I've never delayed costs. I pay my credit card on time. I don't do, essentially we do, but I don't like loans. Right? I'm this. And so this 20 weeks it's going to take you. 20 weeks. Okay. Yep. I can do that.
Yeah. And really it's about making that decision and backing yourself to go, okay, I can do this. You know what? This is something that is tangible for me. And I know that I've got this. And sometimes it is about having flexibility about the rules we create for ourselves. Because sometimes we have those rules of, but I never take a loan. I don't go on payment plans. I pay all up front because I'm used to being independent. And often that can prevent us from growth. Because if we have a rule that says I can't, then even when someone is saying this isn't a loan, actually it's just called a payment plan. So this is an opportunity for you to change that lens. It's like it actually has it takes a lot of growth even from you to step into the program.
Yeah, it was extremely powerful. And I remember just having that moment and I went, I've deposited my money now. Like, oh, what a relief.
It's all done now.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it just sounds like maybe a small point to some, but for me, it was really big. And I knew I could see in theory what needed to happen for the growth, and it needed to be around my ability to promote myself and get out there. And I had to take that leap. But I don't take leaps very easily. Well, I do because it's contradictory. Like on this department, no, I don't take that. Back and forth.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I want to ask you next is about your experience in the program, particularly because I know that the first week was a bit of there was a sense of, because we talk about mindset. And so the first week looking at what the topic was and having that probably, I've done this. And now, mindset. Oh no, here we go. And then do you want to speak to what it was like for you to go through that as a normally skeptical person?
I'd already been doing some growth in that space, like on my mental state or my mindset. I guess I'm a coach of cyclists, and so I was fortunate enough to do a high performance coaching program, and they talked a lot about that too, where it was like, look, our ability to convey information comes down to our relationship with people. How do we get that right? Well, we have to get our own self-awareness down pat. So I was already open to that idea, and I'd also personally engaged with a psychologist throughout the time when I'd had some rough patches, which I found amazing, and having that opportunity, so I was on some sort of pathway, whether it was, 20 years down the track too late, it was all relevant. It was all great timing. So when I hit mindset, and when I said to you, its summary at the end of the course was my favorite, but least favorite, so there's a contradiction there, was the hard, uncomfortable place of going into mindset. Because I went, here we go. I know where they're going with this. I can see why they're doing it. I cried a lot in that first homework, because you've got to get into yourself and you've got to analyze and you've got to maybe unpack your belief system, right? Because if you're oscillating between, am I good enough? Am I not? Should I ask for more money? Should I not? It literally dictates every other thing you do in business or in life for that matter. And that sounds like a big pronounced announcement, but it does. And so I knew that in theory, but to go through it is incredibly icky. It's challenging. And it's not just, I want to wring the brush. I want to chuck that brush. I want to chuck it at someone. I particularly want to chuck it at the guy who talked about money stuff, because he's actually saying what I don't want to hear. And my inclination is, you know, fight or flight. Like, I'm going to fly usually. I'm going to run away from the uncomfortable, itchy stuff. But because I'd already been prefaced with that, you know, 4 or 5 years prior, I was open to going through the hard space. And, you know, like, I love Brené Brown and being vulnerable and going, and also having, so that mindset stuff was, there are other people in the group. And so I'm very big on, my experience of this group was, oh, great, here's community again. And one of my goals was, yeah, I want to hear what you mentors have to say, including all of the mentors as well. But I also want to hear what the other participants are going through, because for me, community is what I'm all about. Like, we were meant to be together, humans together. And so, and again, it sounds kind of trite and like, well, surely that just happens. It doesn't just happen. It's testament to the leaders. It's testament to the people who partake in that and willing to put up their comments. And there were some delightful people in our group. Like, I don't want to single them out personally because I haven't asked for that permission, but honestly, we were all quite different. And there's beauty in that. Like, there was one person I really couldn't believe how, yeah, again, I can get quite emotional, Alicia, because I was just like, wow, you know, it was very touching, and it takes, I'm a hard person to crack. So when you're engaged in that, I mean, how was my experience of the course? That's wrapped up into it. How I turned up each week is again testament to you guys. But the fact that I was engaged in that, like, I'm surprised, because I don't crack easily. I'm skeptical. This is not going to work. Well, no, it was going to work because we started with mindset.
Yeah. And, you know, it's so often when we're practitioners, it's us in our treatment room with our clients. And often our family and friends are not necessarily business owners. So when we have a great week and be like, oh, guess what? You know, I got more clients this week, or I put my prices up. They don't necessarily celebrate with you, not because they don't care, but because their mindset is just an employee. And employees don't go, I had a great job. I had a great week at my job this week, very often. And they might, but not very often. So being able to be surrounded by like-minded and what we call like-hearted therapists who are also in a similar position. They're learning, they're growing, they're being faced with the uncomfortable truth. You know, we talk about above the line, below the line, or having what we like to call a hairbrush moment. And I keep a hairbrush next to my computer for that exact analogy, when we just want to kind of like throw it, wave it and throw it at someone. During our learning process, all of that is true, because if our business was already rocking out, we were charging what we were worth, we had great boundaries, we were loving ourselves and loving others, you don't normally need to step into our course. So the reason we have to take you into those places is because, well, first of all, we set up safety, and then we take you into those places, because it's when we are willing to rumble with those feelings, with those beliefs, have them smacked across our face, shake our hairbrush at the team, and then realize, actually, at the end of the day, if I want to grow my business, if I want to make a difference and I want to make an impact in this world, then I have to change me first. You're right. Literally everything comes from that space. And we have a joke in the team, and I can't remember if this came through in one of our calls, but I'll say, oh, by the way, we do business coaching. You know, because often it's the mindset stuff that is made so pertinent to running a massage business and a hands-on clinic that then transpires into, of course, we can do Facebook ads, and we have to do systems, and we have to have marketing and Google and, you know, all those things, because absolutely I couldn't call myself a business coach if we didn't cover that stuff. But the reason we start with mindset is because, just like you said, we have to get ourselves clear first so that we can then communicate and connect with others around us.
Yeah, true.
Beautiful. So what have been some of your biggest wins so far?
And this was challenging too, because I felt like I'm a winner in life. Like, I have to succeed in everything. And then, you know, you'd turn up each week and I'd see your very smiley face on Monday, and I'd almost go, oh, right? Like, you know, she's going to ask me for my win. But again, we were given permission to give like small wins, right? And like, let's take action each day, which again sounds super trite and just, you know, of course, but, you know, actually, my biggest wins are literally getting people in my door, right? Like I had one client a week to this business, like on average, if you do it over the year. And then, through different campaigns, and I haven't got there yet. Of course, I haven't got there yet, but literally handing out gift vouchers, connecting with other businesses. Like I found momentum. Like that's the crux of it. I was so excited by, like this can be done, right? Then the confidence to, of course I can put myself out there. You talk all the time, Vicki. You just have to talk about yourself and what you can offer. So of course you're going to, like, it just became natural. My biggest wins is that I gained confidence, which again has probably been repeated to you many times, that I can actually do this and get people coming into the door and actually coming back to me. Like I've worked in lots of clinics and I thought they just come in the clinic and I happen to be the therapist available. They don't really, really gel with me. They'll come to me because I'm there. But really, and this is after 23 years of being a therapist, right? And so then I would connect with these other businesses. So this running coach in my area who's got a successful business that aligns with some of my values about health and fitness. And literally he wanted to have a chat with me. I'm like, wow, I'm blown away by, can it be this easy? Like I'm following the steps that these guys are telling me to do. And each week I'm, not always nailing the homework, but methodically going through the process. And I love structure. All right. If someone's an expert, which I believe you guys are, or getting that way, and you're going and done this lots, then I should listen because this is what I've committed to. And literally my wins were, they say that, do that, and then this happens. And I'm like, what? Really? And it did. Yeah. So my wins are getting people coming in the door first place. And yes, they came in with free massages, i.e. 30 minutes, and many of them upgraded, like James said they would. And then, connect with people in the area and hand out these vouchers. And if you want 20 new clients, then you're going to have to hand out like 400 or so. That seems like a lot. And by the way, you're going to have to keep nagging because you want this more than they do. So you don't give up, right? You've got the action. You've already got the momentum. You've already gained that. Why would you keep turning behind? So my wins were momentum. And then the next wins were it was weirdly transferring to other aspects of my life. Like, I was like, talking to the lady that I go to the sauna with, and I've never talked to her, and she's a bit of a chatter too. And I was starting to talk about health stuff, and I'm thinking, where's this coming from? Is this that course I'm doing, or just sticking at things? Like I'm a serious multitasker. Like I'll hold up the placard like I can manage all of these tasks in a day, and as it turns out, none of them are done optimally or effectively. So I literally learned to do homework and sit in the space of the uncomfortable and go, just get it done, right? Because it's absolutely, you owe it to your business. But then why does that make me want to, I don't know, I get this fresh dog food every week, and it's a bit of a hard task to packet it up into things, and I don't want to do it. But there I was going, you cannot not finish this or not do it. And I'm like, this is weird because I'm already thinking of things of finishing, right? Because of the course. So again, I talk about these wins, not necessarily in outcomes terms, but like literally mindset and thinking. And I kept saying to myself, well, I should fill up on petrol at the, because my motorcycle petrol is going very low. I should fill up. Oh, but I'll do it tomorrow. And then I'd catch myself and I go, why would you do it tomorrow? Like, the timing is now, because if you don't, and this was all from this course, and it was really bizarre how transferable the practices and the behaviors, and yeah, it was pretty hot then. So we were doing it daily or 5 days of the week. Now that's dropped off a bit. And again, but I'm still like sitting on the back of the momentum and the going in different areas of life. Like, like the other voice, whatever you want to call it, the voice on your shoulder goes, why on earth would you not finish doing that task? You owe it to I don't know, sounds silly, your dog or your family, or, what are your values? So again, it sounds like we're banging on about mindset, and I'm almost but it really was quite profound. And it was the inner workings, because I'm a super analytical, reflective person, going round and round, sometimes getting so tied up in my thoughts. But I went, no, there's worth in this, because something's going on here
Mm.
And has it led to the doubling of my income after how long since we finished? No, of course not. But what I can see now is now I know that momentum is key, that keeping, like as a vet consulted with me a little bit in your course, and she said, you know, take action each day. And I was like, that just sounds really like logical. But if that's the mantra I tell myself, then it just happens.
Mm.
So do you know what I mean? Like without it being a have to or a chore, you just go, you absolutely owe it to your business, Vicki, you know, to keep packaging up the dog food. Like, no,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But how we do one thing is how we do everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And often if we are procrastinating in our business,
Mm.
we're not just procrastinating. We don't walk into a massage clinic or a treatment clinic and go, oh, yeah, I procrastinate. No, we're procrastinating everywhere. And
Exactly.
procrastination is often just a lack of trigger to start, number one.
Mm.
It can also be I want to keep everything the same, because if I procrastinate on today, I still have to do it tomorrow. So I
Yep.
can keep everything the same. So it can be a certainty strategy.
Yep.
Simply all it is a strategy, because our unconscious mind's job is to keep us safe. It
Yep.
will do anything and everything it can. We're hardwired for our mind to keep us safe. And so mindset actually isn't just about, oh, it's about positive thinking and thinking everything's
Yeah.
bollocks. That's
Yes,
why
I know.
we shake our hairbrush and we
Yes.
get really frustrated and we talk
Yes.
about the icky feelings and we
Yeah.
step into our messy vulnerability,
Yeah.
kicking and screaming at times,
True.
because our mindset work is actually about learning how to utilize our brain for the purposes of good, so that we can actually be in control of what we want, and we can get the behaviors and the actions and create the result that we want. Because what we know from sitting back here after 7 years of working with literally hundreds of business owners is that small increments over the long haul is what gets us incredible momentum.
And
That
yeah. And I could see that. So I then felt more comfortable turning up on Monday mornings because I loved the Zoom calls and the community. Even though I'd say to you one day I was having a funk, I'd had a shocking weekend, and I was like, my win today is I showed up. And you went, yep, great, fantastic. And I went, yeah, that's all I could do today. All right. And you get a few people going, oh, it's so great you showed up. And I'm thinking, oh, that was pretty pathetic, because where was my big win? And now I'm much kinder on myself too. So my mindset piece is, there was a big wake up call of how you treat your clients, Vicki, or how you talk to your people or your children. That's not how you talk to yourself. Like, you're extremely harsh. You know, I went in with I told people at the start of the course, I'm an all or nothing, right? That scares me, because if you're all or nothing, you're like this bipolar, you're all over the shop. And it's like Dory, like just keep swimming, just something little. You know, all I did yesterday was send an email to a client, but I did something for the business, right? I went, that's all you have to do, right? And that's what you would say to your client too. You wouldn't say, you shocking person, you didn't fulfill that task today, you didn't do all your exercises. You would say, okay, there's tomorrow. And I think my big mantra throughout this course has been, just breathe, right? You got this, but not in a fake, sorry to say this, but Anthony Robbins style, you know, you're amazing, we're all motivated, we're all switched on every day. No, like, there's incredibly bitter, shocking, yucky days. And that's life, right?
Yeah.
And then that's life in business. And then you just go, no, a gentle, no, you've got this. And actually, you don't need anyone around you, even though I see the value of friends and close, you know, contacts to give you that. But you don't actually need that, because once you've got your own, you know, again, voice, whatever it is, but people say it is, saying to you, no, you can do this, keep one step, and you'll be fine, right?
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you have found challenging in the coaching process?
Like, no one likes, we don't seek out pain and uncomfortable. Like, you don't do that. Like, humans seek comfort, right? So going into those places, you know, playing those things which challenge your beliefs, which are going to form your values and then how you proceed in life and business and relationships, is not very fun. It's challenging. I don't readily go there. Oh, please, come on, give me some more pain in my heart, right? Yay. no. So that was challenging. The other part to this was the realization that as you see more clients, yay, me, like I get to give out of myself more. This is amazing. There's more back end work. There's more systems required. There's more difficult conversations. There's more icky times. Like I've just had one today where I felt like I fully stuffed up a client. And then you go, well, of course that was going to happen, duh. But that's what happens with more work. What also happens with more work is great, more income, fantastic. Now my body's starting to break down. And so I can see now why you had pieces in there about, oh, I know this stuff. I know how to stretch. I did this. That happened 23 years ago when I first learned to use my arms. But I was strong and I was 20 and I can do this. My body started to break down. So I had these moments where I'm like, I can't keep going. I have this inclination up here. I want to treat more and do more. And then I'm ringing up my homeopath and my immunologist. I'm going self-care. So the challenges were like, and it's great. It happened within the course. It was still running, but it, started to happen now. And really only now I'm getting on top of it. Not that I have to go, 3 days off. That's what I don't want, right? I want to keep the momentum. So it absolutely makes sense that you have appointments with your own people who help you and specialists, and you actually pay people to do that because you can. And
That's
if you
right.
want longevity, again, silly conversation in your head, how do you expect to promote that stuff and also tell clients about the worth of regular treatments when you're not even doing it yourself? So those things were like confronting but worthwhile challenges because it happened online. Like, my body's breaking down while I'm still doing the course, hadn't finished it yet. Oh, okay, no, I got this. I'm fine. Oh, no, maybe I'm not fine.
Yeah. So what results? So if we were to look at, we've got 3 things we often talk about as our mindset, marketing, and mechanics. Can you share some results you've gotten specifically in each of those 3 areas of your business? So your mindset, which we've covered quite a bit of.
Yeah.
But your marketing and your mechanics, what are some amazing results that you have seen so far in those?
Okay. Yeah, as you said, I've taken some notes just to, I think apart from my mindset about the negative sort of thing, or I can't do that, we've already talked a lot about that. The money mindset stuff was really, really key for me early on in the piece because I'm just a lowly massage therapist, and in the hierarchy of allied health, we sit down there and we can't really expect to earn very much because we don't have degrees and, all of this sort of silly talk, right? Like it literally gets stumped on the head. Like I had to just, right. And when I heard that, I went and there was a certain mantra that was promoted early in your course, which is like, I'm worth this, I can earn more. And what you're asking to earn is not out of the question. Okay. So get rid of that. And so that was really key around mindset. The other thing was just learning to make better decisions myself. Like I've entrusted different people, like I choose to involve, like close friends, a couple of close friends, my husband. And I was often going, what do you think about this? What should I do? And getting quite hyper and breathless. And I'm like, no, you actually know the decision based on what you've been learning. So being, again, sounds more confident in my own decisions. Also being like, when you realize what you want, why you get up out of bed each morning and what you want, you learn to be harsher in your business. So I gave out a few gift vouchers and I got a few lax clients who go, oh, I just want the 30 minutes. I want the free option. Great. They're coming in my door. Fantastic. But they forgot their appointments and they rocked up like 20 minutes late and it's at my house. And I actually went, no, sorry, you've missed your appointment. You can make another one. But I would have gone, the old me would have gone, yeah, okay. But I'd gone on to something else. And I went, this is my business. I get to run it my own way. And making that decision felt really weird. And my husband was in the background. He said, I hope it wasn't my harsh tone, but he said, I heard the delivery you gave. And I was like, yeah, it's my business and they can't muck me around. And I would have been like, oh, but beggars can't be choosers. I want people in the door. So I've just got to accept anyone. The other one was around the niche market, like working out who your niche client is, and it's already very niche bike fitting, but I literally did some work around what do I want? And again, this idea of I don't have many clients at all. It's very fledgling. I just want anyone in the door. Well, actually, no, you don't, because you got to get this right now, because that's what's going to float your boat, Vicki, and that's what's going to keep you going and doing the best that you can by being particular about that. And also, you've already referred to this, that the people who are around you are all well-meaning, aren't going through what you're doing now. So I asked you one week, I was like, how do I manage this person who's saying I shouldn't do it this way or this way? And I was like getting all flustered. And but then I had this conviction that, no, these are the people going through this. No, I'm going to do it this way, and finding confidence in that. Which leads to the marketing stuff. Again, just advertising myself to people, like just talking about it organically during the treatment, like not being ashamed to sort of talk about, okay, when's your next visit? When are you coming back? Just talking about it in general more, because it doesn't feel like I'm talking myself up so much, but more like, you absolutely need this for your health and lifestyle. And that's my value for myself and for the people I'm treating. So the marketing, learning that there are different ways of doing it, learning how to monitor my marketing and its effectiveness. So the Facebook stuff, I was quite clued into, this is how much it's yielded this week. I'm going to kill this ad now. I'm not going to keep it running just because. I've started Google ads. I'm not sure about them, but I'm researching it, and I'm still letting that roll. But I'm also not losing my mind going, it's not working. I'm just going, no, you got this. Let's just steady. So being, again, calm about the marketing. What was the other money?
The mechanics.
Oh, yeah. So with more clients, I was floored by the legal implications of not, I got quite lax with my notes. And I thought, grief, like if someone comes in here, not even a lawyer, like I'm in trouble. And I'm being very honest in saying that those mechanics around that is just an absolute no-go. Like I had to have a really hard question with myself when I learned about, when we did that piece on it. I was like, I absolutely have to. So at 10:30 at night, I'm taking my notes, because the next day I've forgotten them and I'm not as switched on. So you just have to. And you just have to track your gift vouchers, because you don't want to be spending money willy-nilly and not being able to track where it's coming from. So you actually have to, Vicki, do your Excel sheets, because you need to track this. And this isn't being regimented. It literally became apparent when more people came in, and I'm like, there's more people to manage. I'm not used to this. I have never done this in 23 years, right? So you just have to be on top of it. Like there's no compromise here. And so it's kind of like, I should. Then I had to sort of engage with my husband, who's helped me to my website and help me. And he'll say, oh, well, this is not efficient. You got to do it this way. And I'm like, yeah, but I just want to do it this way because it's quick right now. He said, but almost like a stitch in time if you do it right now. Yeah, but that's going to take time and I can't manage that. And there's so many conversations that have gone around, like the ways to do it. And I haven't worked it out. Of course I won't, but I'll keep it going. Yeah. So dramatic increases in all those areas. Like it's fun.
And it's what we call is testing and measuring. It's like, if I do this, does this happen? If I do this, does this happen? If I do this, what result do I get? Oh, I didn't get any clients. Okay, what can I tweak to make? It's so much different. It actually empowers you to be able to take action and feel confident in your decision, because you're not expecting every single time I do something, it's going to work. It's like, well, no, actually, it's not. That's why we give you 100 different ways to market your business, because what works for you isn't going to work for somebody else, and what works for someone else may not work for you, but let's tweak it to you and where you're at. So, Vicki, what has been your biggest week in the program in terms of client numbers so far? What has been your biggest week?
I can't. Yeah, it's really hard because it's still up and down. It still feels very seasonal. My biggest week, like I literally worked 10.5-hour days. I can't give it to you in hours or clients, because again, one Bike Fit client is equal to 3.5 clients, or massage. So what's been my big day? I worked 10.5 hours, a 10.5 hour day, and I literally earned what I would earn in 1 week, in one day. And I could just simply say to you, oh, well, that was just kind of random. It just happened that way. But it's not, because why have not the mechanisms of what I've done? But did I choose to work 10.5 hours the next day? No, and I didn't fall in a heap. So it's very hard for me to say at the moment. What I'm really seeking is the consistency, so that it doesn't turn into a $2,000 week 1 week and then a $300 week the next. Like, maybe not that extreme, but that's where it's been in the past. And that scares me a bit, because I think, oh, that's just all it's going to be, right? Yeah. But then that's the narrative, which is that's all it's going to be, Vicki, versus no, you've got other things in place now to make that difference, to make it not necessarily super regular, right? You're going to come all these problems, but just to get a bit more consistency. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
So Vicki, what is the number one piece of advice to anyone out there right now that maybe wants to get fully booked, wants to be able to build their confidence, and might have been in a similar place to where you were? What would it be?
Just do it. I hate the advertising campaigns of Nike, but just do it. Like, you can be like me and just seeking all the marketing or what aspect needs work on. You end up, eventually I may be farming some of this stuff out. When I'm earning more money, I may employ the website person to manage my blogs and this and that, and to manage my books and to do my marketing for me. But right now, in these rudimentary stages, I have to do it all myself. And the best way is, as your mission statement says, empower me, right? And I really needed to empower me, go through the yucky stuff, understand the mechanisms, and again, get through it, because there's only me at this point in time. I don't have the finances to do that, but I can absolutely see the relevance. I'm quite a skeptical person in that I see through the rubbish and the fake stuff. Like, I'm a very big questioner, and I don't get won over by things very easily. So as I said at the start, it was a lot of convincing, but I had to be the one to make the decision. And this course, as you state in your mission statement, it does really empower someone like me who's super technical, loves learning, wants to share her knowledge. But how does she promote herself? That's the marketing piece, but how does she reform and do some work on her mindset? So I can't look back. I don't know what I was like before the course. Like, it's been that transformative. And again, I sound like some ad, but I can't even stress it how much it's been impactful. Like, I get quite emotional because I did a lot of deep mindset piece. But it's really testament to the course. Like, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Vicki, thank you so much for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your passion. Thank you for sharing the reality of what it was like to be you before and after and during, and your entire career. So I just want to say thank you, as you are now much busier, for being able to share this with us today. And I trust that what you've shared will really support those that are listening to be able to make great choices and decisions for them and their business, and where they're at. So thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.